15 past, another Fox News alert. Former FBI Director James Comey now challenging a subpoena from Republicans in the House. He accuses them of partisan harassment for demanding a closed-door testimony on the FBI actions leading up to the election in 2016. The House Judiciary Committee Chair is Bob Goodlatte, the Republican from Virginia. Sir, how are you? And welcome back here on America's Newsroom. So you got your work cut out for you. James Comey says he's worried about leaks. Should he be worried?
Well, first of all, we don't condone leaks. Trey Gowdy and I concerned about that. And since Jim Comey claims he wants transparency, we've already indicated that we will release the transcript of this under oath private interview the next day after it takes place. We're almost done with this investigation. He's one of the last witnesses. 16 other people have testified under oath in the same setting that we're asking him to do it. And his claim that he needs to do it in public is, in my opinion, a farce. Quite frankly, 5 minutes is not enough time for an experienced former prosecutor like Trey Gowdy or John Ratcliffe to follow all of the threads that need to be followed, the hundreds of questions that need to be asked. And that needs to be done in a private setting.
Okay.
But we're happy for the transparency.
If there are hundreds of questions, give me one that's on your mind. What do you need to know, sir?
Well, we need to know, just as one example, what Jim Comey was doing during the time between when he wrote a statement that exonerated Hillary Clinton and when he actually issued it in revised form a number of weeks later. We need to know what Jim Comey was doing with regard to the initiation of the so-called Trump-Russia collusion investigation, and we need to know why he persisted in pursuing surveillance of Carter Page, a United States citizen, for a full year when there's no evidence that Carter Page did anything that would suggest that
you don't
he was colluding with the Russians.
You don't think you can get those answers in an open hearing?
No, because you get an answer and then you have 3 or 4 follow-up questions. The interviews generally have ranged 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. We rotate 1 hour for Republican counsel and then 1 hour for the Democrats to ask their questions. And when we're done with this investigation, which is obviously going to be soon, we'll release all of these transcripts so the American people can see what was going on in 2016 and leading into 2017.
Trey Gowdy suggested you could videotape it. Is that some sort of compromise that could be?
We're open to the idea of videotaping it. The fact of the matter is, though, he is trying to run the clock on us, and that's why we think he's filed this motion to quash. Fusion GPS also tried that. They were knocked down, and instead he came in, Glenn Simpson came in and took the 5th. What Jim Comey's intentions are, I don't know, other than that it's pretty clear he doesn't want to come in and answer the detailed questions that we have.
I'm looking at the calendar. I know you are as well. You're almost out of time, right? I mean, first week of January, the gavel switches.
We have another month. Now, of course, when that happens, we already have indications from Lindsey Graham, who's expected to be the new chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, and Ron Johnson, who is the chairman of the Senate Oversight Committee, that they intend to pursue this. And we also know that the Inspector General, who's already filed a 400-page report, so if you're looking for questions for Mr. Comey, you need look no further than a 400-page report from the Inspector General regarding matters. And that, coupled with the documents we've examined and the witnesses we've talked to, have given us a plethora of questions that he needs to come in and answer so we can complete this investigation.
Let me slide in a few more things here in the minute I have left. Comey's statement from his attorneys reads like this: Mr. Comey should not be coerced into participating in an improper partisan effort to undermine the legitimacy of an institution that he served for the better part of 4 years. There is no legitimate reason why Mr. Comey cannot provide sworn live public testimony about the matters under investigation. You took to Twitter last night on that. Here's what you said: the truth is best served with transparency. What is Director Comey trying to hide from the American people with this baseless motion to quash? So you got this battle with James Comey. What happens with Rod Rosenstein? Will you get a satisfactory answer from him over the next month about the reports that he was willing to wear a wire, and find out whether that was true or not?
I think it's very important that Mr. Rosenstein answer questions with regard to that. I know he's put out a statement denying it, and we have a New York Times report with regard to it, but I think the public deserves to have more information about that. And there are a few other things that Mr. Rosenstein could testify about.
Well, you got a lot moving
well
on both fronts, though. How much can you get done, sir?
We're close to the end. These are the last witnesses that we need to do. We've examined, hundreds of thousands of pages of documents, searched through them, and have thousands of documents that are relevant to our investigation. And all of these witnesses, we're ready to turn that over to the Senate. And we're anxious to see what additional work the Inspector General does. Mr. Gowdy and I have, of course, also called for the appointment of a second special counsel, especially when you have Glenn Simpson at Fusion GPS coming in and taking the Fifth Amendment, and others who are reluctant to testify.
Yeah, you sound confident that you'll get your answers. We'll see if that's the case. Sir, thank you for coming back here. Bob Goodlatte from Virginia. Thank you, sir.